So also me being a person of color. Okay. And, I grew up on the other side of the river in Jeffersonville, Indiana. I grew up in, when I say grew up, that's from age like 13 or 14 until I was 17 or 18. And then I moved to Indianapolis by myself for school and for university. At 18. And from 18 until I was 24, about to be 25, I lived in Indianapolis. So when I lived in Jeffersonville, though, from around 13 to 18, okay, that's what, 5 years? At that time, Jeffersonville was not diverse. It wasn't progressive. Like, if you went there now, it's a shocker. Anybody that's lived in Jeffersonville, if they come back now, they're going to be like, what the fuck? You know, like, it's been gentrified in areas. It's been updated in areas. And, I mean, we even have at least one, like, healing / crystal shop on 10th Street. Like, that shit blew my mind. Because back when I was a teen, I wouldn't have been able to find people I vibed with back then, you know? Including seeing people of color. It was literally white people and black people. And sprinkled with little brown people. A little bit of brown people. In high school, I was like one of 5, or at least to my knowledge, of a person from a Spanish-speaking country. Well, I'm not from a Spanish-speaking country. My family is. I was born in Germany. But I'm Puerto Rican, okay? So my experience as a teenager in southern Indiana wasn't too great in regards to being a person of color. And then, you know, like, people looking at me funny, saying stuff, hearing, you know, jokes about being brown and them assuming I'm Mexican and that I need to swim back to my country. And even having, being discriminated in school, my school bus driver discriminating against us, all kinds of stuff. White people being scared of us. And then even like some black girls who were pissed off that we moved into their neighborhood. It was just it was not fun, okay? And I have a video on that, and I can link it below, put it above. And then going to Indianapolis was great. Diverse. Way more diverse than being in southern Indiana. Unless you went further south outside of Indianapolis. The south side of Indianapolis. That's where it gets super, super racist, okay? So like I said, I haven't had the best experiences around, you know, a white dominant area. Let's put it that way. So when we went homeless, I was like, wow, this might not be fun for me. And I'm so glad you're white, Ty. You know, I was just keeping it straight. Like, I'm so glad you're white and you're male. Because let's just be real, right? Patriarchy and racism. So I was like, thank God you're a white male. So we had a mix of experiences with the police. Okay. I don't know how I would have been treated if Ty wasn't with me. I really don't. Okay. Because I've also had mixed experiences alone in Indiana with the police. So while we were homeless, it was mostly positive, except for when we were in a rich area of the city, because his family friend lived in this richer area of the city, and we were parked outside their home, but we had to park on the curb, but kind of back, because there were, you know, his family friend, a lot of the family members lived there, so there were so many cars, so we had to couldn't park in the parkway. We had to park further back on the curb in a cul-de-sac, you know, like you know what I mean? Like it goes like this. So there's like home here, here, here. So his family's house was here, and our van was parked back here in the cul-de-sac. And we were parked there because one of our babies, Nava, one of the cats, she ran away one day, and we were trying to find her. We waited there. We knew she's so smart, you know, so we knew she would smell us again. Plus we looked up stuff like how to get your cat back. So we put her cat litter out on the grass. We're calling her name, and I knew that she would smell us. We kept the door cracked, and she actually did come back. But while we were waiting for her, we had just gotten food from a restaurant. You know, we had enough money to get a good meal, and we hadn't had a good meal in a long time. So we were in our van, right? It's all decked out the way we had it because we lived in it. And we're just in there chilling with Wolfgang and Nava, the other cat, and eating our food and waiting. Next thing you know, like, first one cop car pulls up, and Wolf starts going crazy, right? Because he's an American bully. He's protective. You know, he sees lights and cars approaching, so he wants to protect us. So, like, one cop car, and then a second cop car. Oh my God. And then a third cop car. And then I think even a fourth came, and I was like, okay, this is overkill. What the fuck? So, I get out because Ty is alpha, and I know in stressful situations, Wolf will listen to Ty better than me. Ty is alpha. So, I get out, and I speak to the cops. I'm like, can I help you, officer? And they have an attitude. So I'm not sure if Ty got out, how would he have been treated? I have no idea. But since I'm a female and brown, I got out. I was polite, but I said, how can I help you, officer? And they were already out, right? And they had an attitude and said that, you know, a call was made and why are we parked there? And we're like, we lost our cat. Our friend literally lives right here. This is their house, our friend Josh. And we were here the other day, and she escaped while we were here. We're homeless. We live in our van, as you can clearly see. And, you know, they all come to the window, which wasn't exactly necessary. Like, most of our windows are tinted, but the back one, our lights are on the inside anyways. So you can see stuff. Like, you can see the hammock, you can make out shapes, you could see like our bedding and everything. And of course, you see Wolfgang over there like barking like crazy, and Ty in there. And, you know, and then they start flashing their lights in there. I was like, sir, please do not do that. And I asked them, I was like, please don't do that. My dog, he has high anxiety. Okay, he's been attacked multiple times. And you're a stranger and you're approaching his property, his boundary. So you're freaking him out. And Wolfgang is in there like barking like crazy. You know what I mean? And I can't remember if they kept the flashlights on or not, but they were peeking in there, and I was like, you can clearly see we live in our van. And they were just really rude and short, but asked for our friend's name in the house and everything. And we told them, you know, our friend doesn't even know we're here. I mean, it's late. We couldn't get a hold of him, but even our stuff is in their basement, you know. They know us. So they go knock on our friend's door. And it's probably like midnight. Oh my God. And you know, like his friend's sister lived there too, and she had kids. So I was praying that like the kids didn't get woken up. They have dogs in there. I'm sure the dog started barking. But they knocked on the door to confirm our story. So they did confirm it, but they asked us to leave as soon as possible. And I was just like, what the hell? Like, you know what I mean? We were on a road, so it's public property, first of all. But we told them, you know, we need to wait for our cat. This is why we're here. But she'll be here soon. You know, but like, they did unnecessary stuff, like wanted to see our IDs, and it's like, what for? You know what I mean? Like, seriously, what for? Why are you haggling us? We're homeless, dude. Jeez, you confirmed our story. You looked in our van. You've already stressed my dog out. But they weren't friendly. And the thing is that before the interaction with them, we had interactions with other police officers. And these other officers, when they found out we were homeless and living in the van, they were super nice. You know, they'd ask us to stay safe. They gave suggestions. They were super kind. And, you know, surprisingly, like, thank God we actually did have good interactions with other cops. Okay, because in general, the cops in Louisville, a lot of them are assholes and a lot of them are dirty. You know, I'm sure you know, because it went worldwide about Breonna Taylor, that happened here in this city. So thank God, thank Goddess, thank the universe that we had these interactions with cops that were kind versus having this interaction which was uncomfortable with these cops in a richer, predominantly white area. Like I said, I don't know what would have happened if Ty got out and spoke to them. He eventually did get out of the car, though, because I was uncomfortable and I could, you know what I mean? Being a clairvoyant, I could feel their energy. I could hear their thoughts. They weren't happy, and I knew they were being rude. I knew they wanted to be rude, and I told Ty to come out there and talk to them. And when they left, I was like, Ty, I'm so happy you are white. And I mean, I've joked like throughout our whole relationship about how crazy it is that I ended up with a white guy. And I know that may sound wild to you. It's just that the experiences I had throughout my teenage years with white people, it was to the point where I never thought I would be with a white guy. So it's just funny that my twin flame is white. So I was like, I've never been so happy about your skin color, baby. Thank goodness you're white. Yeah, that was one unpleasant experience. We had an experience downtown Louisville. We just arrived at the Black Lives Matter house, and we were allowed to go in and do laundry and stay there. So got to take a shower. Oh, let me tell you, please don't take your showers for granted. Don't take your water for granted. Not being able to shower. So we got to take a nice warm shower. And after we took showers and had thrown stuff in the washer, and we had parked the van in the alley because I can't remember if there was street parking, but also we were worried about Wolfgang, and we were worried about bringing him inside too. So we had him in the van for the moment in the alley. And then we eventually brought him inside and got his kennel inside and set him up inside the house, but our van was still in the alley. We felt more comfortable with it being there versus the street because that's just how we felt at the time. And we had just come from living out more in like a naturesque area and not the city. And so to me at the time, parking on the side of the street was stressful rather than being in an alley where cars aren't passing by all the time. Well, it turns out that funky business happens in alleys, right? So, I was like pulling the van to park it better, after everything had been taken in. And like this other van pulls up next to me and they start honking at me like crazy. And then I hear like a person yelling at me. But the thing is that our driver's side window doesn't roll up or down. So I couldn't, you know what I mean? I was like, what? I can't remember if I opened the door or not to try to talk to the person. But someone's like yelling and honking at me. And then they drive off and I'm like, what the fuck was that? Oh, and then I was freaked out. So like I parked the van and I go and get Ty. But when I go back outside to get some stuff from the van again, I hear a woman again like yelling. Like the van is gone. The other van that was honking at me is gone. But so here's... Let me use visuals. Okay. So here's the Black Lives Matter house. Imagine the space is the alley, okay? And then here's a backyard and another house. So remember, the space is the alley, and then imagine a yard. So house, yard, alley, yard, Black Lives Matter house. So I'm in the yard here and go to the van, like in this area where I could park the van behind the house in the alley. And as I'm going and coming, bringing stuff into the house, I hear a voice over here, like on the side of the house, and a woman is talking obnoxiously loud to a male. And I could feel the energy. So I knew she was talking about me. And she was like yelling. And then like yelling towards me. And I was just like, what am I supposed to do? Like, I couldn't make out what she was saying, but I could feel the energy and I just knew, okay? So I go back in the house and I'm like, Ty, I don't know what the fuck is going on, but there's like a woman out there yelling. I know she's talking about me and she's yelling and it's making me uncomfortable. I mean, like, what do we do? So then he goes out there with me. And while we're out there, police cars show up. And we're like, oh my God, what the fuck? I can put the visuals down now, right? You guys know. Right now, you know, we're in the alley with the van. Police cars show up. You know, I still, my hair was like about here, whatever. It was dripping wet. I just gotten out the shower. We had put on fresh clothes and we had stuff in our arms. We had, you know, more belongings we were trying to bring in from the van because, you know, we're in a new area regardless and we wanted to bring in anything valuable. So the police approach us and ask us what we're doing, yada, yada, yada. And, you know, we're honest. We're like, we're homeless and this is the van we live in. You're more than welcome. Like, of course, they kind of peek in. They see our setup. They see my hair is wet. They like, you know, I was like, we're staying in this house right here. It's a Black Lives Matter house. And then in my head, I'm like, wow, this is horrible. We just showed up and then we attract cops. And I so hope they're not going to try to do shit, you know, because that's the Black Lives Matter movement is, you know, injustice against black people. So I'm just praying like, Jesus Christ, please let them be good guys, please. So, and of course, I have failed to mention during this story, all of these stories, that every time a cop has approached us, I've gotten extremely anxious. Like, in general, I think people get anxious, but a person of color gets very, very, very anxious. Okay. So yeah, I was anxious. I was trying to stay calm and I'm being polite. We hand them our IDs and, you know, we let them know we're homeless and they say they're going to go check out our story. So they go knock on the door for someone to answer, and someone was actually on the porch at the time, someone else living in the Black Lives Matter house. And, you know, he confirms our story. Yeah, they just arrived. They're homeless. This is a Black Lives Matter house. We were all homeless, and this is a place where we can stay, yada, yada, whatever. Cop comes back, and he's like, hey, your story checks out. I'm so sorry that we had to bother you like this. So this story is actually a good one. So, you know, we share stories about how awful cops are, but I have to tell you that these group of guys, it was like a group of guys and maybe one female, or it was all guys, I don't know. And I can't remember their ethnicity. Most of them were white. I think they were all white. Maybe there was someone of color. I don't remember. I think they were all white. They were kind. They told us they were so sorry that we lost our home. They told us to be careful. They told us we were in a iffy neighborhood and that's why the cops were called, that someone thought we were doing some, you know, selling or whatever, selling some drugs or doing some funny business. And they said that if we ever needed help, they said that they were going to go ahead and somehow put it in the system or something, make a note that we're homeless so that we wouldn't get bothered again if our van got called on. Like, you know, they're like, now we know, and if someone tries to complain, we'll just know it's you guys. I thought that was nice. Because let me tell you, we definitely have had the cops called. A lot. Even at our friends, not the friend we mentioned, but another friend while we were in their neighborhood, their neighbors called the cops on us and complained to our friends' parents a lot when they clearly saw us. Like, they would watch us. We saw them watching us. They would see us going in and out of their house with them. Clearly. They would clearly see us walking in and out and, like, hanging out there and still would call on us. So we had the cops called and we told them, we're like, please, that would be amazing because we're homeless and we're getting harassed. Like, we're in a pretty low time of our life and that we don't want to deal with more stress. You know, we're not doing anything. We're trying to take care of ourselves. So these cops were so nice. They gave us like a card. They told us to be safe, just be careful, lock our vehicle, stuff like that, and said bye. Okay, so that's a good story. You know what I mean? Like, that's a nice story. One time we had the cops called when before our friend moved home to live with his parents, like right in the beginning of when we lived in the van, one of Ty's friends said that we could come crash at his place like every now and then, but we couldn't stay all the time because he was in the middle of moving and he didn't want like the property manager to notice, you know, and he didn't want to get kicked out himself, which we understand. So like we would pop by, take showers, cook food in his kitchen, but we always slept in our van. Like we would stay in his parking lot and just sleep in our van with our babies. And one day a neighbor called animal services on us, and we're like, I mean, that's understandable if you're driving by and you see an animal or you hear barking, concern or whatever. But yeah, so animal services got called on us, and you know, I told her our situation to a degree, because yeah, like I told her our situation. Hey, we're traveling, we're staying in our van, we're headed west, but we're waiting, but we came to visit our friend. They're not allowed to have animals inside their home, so unfortunately we have to keep our babies here. But, you know, they're taken care of. They're warm, and we have food and all that. And it was a woman, so, you know, usually when I talk to a woman, it's easier. You know what I mean? Because of feminine energy, right? So it wasn't as uncomfortable as like talking to a male. But I could tell she didn't believe me at first and was asking if we needed food, if she could come look at him. And I was like, I would prefer if you didn't, because he has extreme anxiety. And if you walk up to the van, which to him is his home, it's his boundary, if you walk up, he's going to perceive you as a threat. That's just the reality of it. Wolfgang has now been attacked multiple times by dogs, and because of the attacks, for whatever reason, he does not like male strangers, which could just be the energy of, you know, dysfunctional masculine aggression, right? Because dogs attacking him, that's aggression. So he could just be picking up on that kind of energy, but also just strangers in general. Like he knows, hey, I want to protect mommy and daddy. And so if anybody approaching the van, he's going to be like, hey, hold up. You don't come closer. So I was like, please don't do that. You're going to freak him out. But what we did do, so that she would know that he's taken care of, I asked Ty, because after I talked to her and then I went back inside, she stayed there. She stayed parked near our van. So I asked Ty to go check on Wolf and let him walk him in front of her, like walk him and see if he had to pee and poop, because I wanted her to see what he looked like. You know what I mean? I had a feeling that she was thinking he was going to be frail and like abused. So when Ty took him out, she could see that he's a chunk monkey. He's a muscle monster. Like, Wolfie's got muscles, man. You know, he's an 80-pound baby. You know, he wasn't starving. He didn't look starved. He looked healthy. And once Ty walked him, she like looked over and then she drove off. So we had that kind of experience. You know, we had different experiences while living in the van. So far I've told you about like people not coming through, people we thought would help us not helping us. I've told you about people stepping forward when we didn't think, would never in a million years think they would be the people to step forward and help us. Shared about experiences with the police force, other public workers, family members, and